Perfection or perversion. I'm downloading the original 1611 authorized version, 1.8 gigabytes. And when I find something, I download. Why am I downloading it twice? Cancel. I download every link I can find. There's the Matthew's Bible coming down, the Great Bible, Bible in Tamil, the Geneva Bible. So, while we're doing something positive and fulfilling and helpful towards translating or figuring out Bible passages, let's do something stupid while we're doing that. I found the front cover of the King James, but it's not the photo that I had in my last episode, so I don't know where the hell that went to. Alright, so let's go to, this is, well, do it first. So I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared. Oh my God, I'm not prepared. Latin Vulgate. The Douay Reims. I've got the PS2 keyboard in, so I've got to get used to it when I'm streaming because I can only use it. So, late 4th century, Latin Vulgate by Jerome, the Catholic Church's officially proclamated Latin version of the Bible during the 16th century, and is still used in Latin Church alongside Hebrew and Greek sources. This translation was largely the work of Jerome, who in 382 had been commissioned by Pope Damasus I to revise the Vetus Latina. Now this is cool. The Vetus Latina is cool because they've just discovered copies of it, and they apparently they're not even catalogued yet. So this is a whole awesome thing in itself. But the Vetus Latina is the old Italic Bible. How old is it? The Vetus Latina manuscripts were preserved today and date at 350 AD to the 13th century. So we've got the Vetus Latina, and we've got the Vulgate Bible, and we've got our Vulgate eSword module. Starts with V. You should be able to find it really quickly. TUV. It's not in alphabetical order anymore. C Vulgate. So Genesis 1. We'll have a bit of fun. I can enlarge it now. In principio creavit Deus caelum et terram. No idea if that's how you pronounce those words. It's not a spoken language anymore, so you can make it anything you want to have fun with it. Anyway, stop babbling. I babble a lot. So there's the answer. The question being asked is how the Catholic Bible came about. The answer is that it's the Vetus Latina. First of all, from who did that? Who did the Vetus Latina? We might as well answer questions properly before we get into the dumb. Oh, Latin translations of the Septuagint. Well, I'll be. Okay, that's cool, because there would have been a ton of Septuagints around. That's a translation for the Jews that lived in Egypt into the Greek language. Now, this is a whole thing, because in the conspiracy theory world, the Jews only ever spoke Hebrew, but in the real world, during the Babylonian captivity, they would have spoken the Persian dialect, and then the other one that I'm learning, Aramaic, Syriac Aramaic, classical Syriac, and Aramaic. So that's the real answer to questions that we have about early Bible. And I just dropped the mouse. Oh, right. So that's the answer. Sorry, I'm rambling again. Vetus Latina onto Latin Vulgate by Jerome, 4th century AD. This is the answer to the questions being asked. Gail is not going to answer the question. Gail is not going to attempt to answer the question. By the time I've downloaded the Authorized King James Bible, she wouldn't have answered the question. I've got an hour to go. So she's not going to answer the question. What she's going to say is the most baffling thing that you can imagine. Imagine writing the script for Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice meets Batman on the moon. That would make more coherent sense than what you're about to hear as to her answer to where the Catholic Bible came from. And we know the Douay-Rheims eventually comes out of that. I've got Douay-Rheims. Is it under D though? I don't trust Esau. Yeah, Douay-Rheims. It's 1450 or something like that. So this is the Bible that the Catholics use. You can see it with your own eyes, but she doesn't know any of this. She doesn't know any of these facts. She doesn't know any of these facts. Let's hear her Wizard of Oz meets Alice in Wonderland version of the Catholic Bible history.
I didn't have that carnal curiosity about those things, so I don't encourage other people to look into those things, unless that's something the Lord specifically tells you to do. But the things that I found were not at all what I expected to find, and the Lord would be sort of giving me little tips like, look for this and look for this, and I go, oh my, So I had no preconceived notions, and I didn't have an axe to grind or a denominational anything to set up. So let me put my glasses on here, and we'll get started with these questions. This is my ammunition pack here. This is my sword, and we'll take a few heads off if we have to. Yeah, I still aren't so great, but you might wonder, as sick as I was, why am I here today?
Yeah, how did you do a 6-year degree while you were in your bed? How did you fly around the world digging through manuscripts around the world while you were bedridden? I still need answers.
And how am I able to be here today? It's some precious friends who fasted for me that are Mr. and Mrs. Caston and their precious sister and brother-in-law who fasted for me. So I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the power of prayer and fasting. And incidentally, fasting is not in the new version.
But you were never sick in the first place, so that's pretty dodgy. Very dodgy.
I can see why it wouldn't be, because it's a very, very powerful tool.
James Randi, if you're watching this, she completed a degree from her bed. She never left the house. She never went to the doctors. She couldn't even hold a pencil in her hand, and she got a degree. That needs investigating in the paranormal world. All you ghost hunters out there and psychic readers, this is proof of the spirit world.
Okay, where did the Catholic Bible come from? He said that.
Let's hear that one more time.
Okay, where did the Catholic Bible come from? He said.
Savor this moment, because it's hell. It's all downhill from here.
Okay, where did the Catholic Bible come from? He said that's the question about where the Catholic Bible come from. Let me briefly give you a little history about the manuscripts, okay, and where they came from and what's going on with the Catholic Bible.
The manuscripts were the Septuagint. It says there right on this. Gail, go visit this Wikipedia page. It tells you right here that they use Latin translations of the Septuagint. Okay, calm down. It just gets worse from here. This is the only safe bit.
But, okay, basically, the gentleman's question is, where did the Catholic Bible come from?
Okay. I was a guy that asked the question. Okay.
Okay. The Catholic Bible being the New Testament coming from the Greek text.
Wrong. The Catholic Bible is the Latin translation of the Septuagint, which is the whole entire Bible, including the Apocrypha. The Catholic Bible itself, the Douay-Rheims, has the Apocrypha. That's why I used to read it as a kid, because it was something foreign to me, because I grew up with a Protestant Bible. So, yeah.
And the Old Testament coming from the Hebrew text.
Correct. She actually said a fact. Okay. We won't take a drink. We won't do a shot every time she does a fact, because you'd only have one shot. You wouldn't get tipsy at all.
Okay. We'll just look at the Greek text.
The Greek text was the Latin translation of the Greek Septuagint and the New Testament passages that preceded Jerome's Vulgate. And Vetus Latina manuscripts, Bruce Metzger said, as at least 27 variant readings in Vetus Latina manuscripts that have survived for the passage alone. Okay, Luke 24, 4-5. So there's some stuff you can read about. I don't care. We're not tackling anything that exists in the real world here. This is fantasy world. Yeah.
First, but in the Greek text we have about 5,200 extant.
We do now, but we didn't have them when the King James was published. So you're using manuscripts that contradict the Erasmus's 6 manuscripts to prove your point that a Catholic Bible based on Latin used Greek manuscripts from the 1950s. That's what you're saying. Are you aware of what you're saying there, Gail? Of course not. Twit.
Greek manuscripts. Okay. Now, of those 5,200 extant Greek manuscripts, all right.
Gail, just a piece of it of info for you, Gail. There's also 10,000. Don't say it wrong. There's also now an extra 10,000 Vetus Latina manuscripts. There's the Syriac, classical Syriac manuscripts. There's the Samaritan Pentateuch. There's the Dead Sea Scrolls, and on and on and on. But you don't know any of this, do you? You don't know how to hold a pencil. I forgot. Sorry.
99% would agree with the King James Bible.
Okay, so the new manuscripts that have taken 64,000 words away from the New Testament, I don't know if she means old or new or both, I don't know. 64,000 missing words suddenly agree with the King James. And you've written a diatribe of a book that proves that they weren't equal to the King James Bible. The 5,300 discovered manuscripts that were found after 1611 agree with an oversized bloated book based on Erasmus's Greek New Testament. Take a breath. This is going to be a long one.
All right. In fact, it's more than 99% would agree with the King James Bible.
It's however amount of words in the King James Bible of 1769, not the 1611, because the 1611 has the Apocrypha. The 1769 Blaney revision, or 1909 Cambridge edition, minus 64,000 words that were taken out by the modern Bibles equals 99.9%. Right, take a pause. This gets exciting. Okay, here we go.
And that text type in the Greek New Testament.
Oh, that's something new I discovered recently. The Alexandrian text type. The whole time that she's been going on about how the Alexandrians were a part of a cult, and the Alexandrian text types come from Alexandria, is mythology that she tricked me with. So I'll give her a point for tricking me. It just refers to the style of writing, as in calligraphy, capital letters, uncials, minuscules. That's what they're talking about. You can do this. You can do this. Let's go.
Okay, 1% would agree with what our questioner is asking about.
I can't answer that question. I don't know how many of the 5,300 manuscripts agree with the Latinus, you get the word wrong, the Vetus Latina. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I'm presuming, because it's based on the Septuagint, that the Codex Alexandrinus, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Sinaiticus would be in agreement with the Septuagint, seeing as they are the Septuagint copies of the Bible. The three that exist that Gale somehow says that there's 50 of, all written by Constantine the Great. Why are we even trying to make sense out of what she's saying? It doesn't make sense. That's the whole point. Please continue.
The Catholic Bible, 1% would agree with that text.
How could you not know the answer to the question with only a little bit of internet research? My God.
Now, the Roman Catholic text that's now used was created, I believe, at Alexandria, Egypt.
Not the location, the Alexandrian text type. The bulk of manuscripts were discovered in Alexandria. We'll give you that. You get half a mark for that.
Okay.
Okay.
At a Neoplatonic school,
So suddenly in Alexandria, there's a Neoplatonist cult. Neoplatonism, Platonism. If you're going to tell a lie, it has to be based on some sort of fact, I guess. 3rd century AD. What is Neoplatonism? A strand of Platonic philosophy that emerged in the 3rd century AD against the background of Hellenistic philosophy and religion. Okay. Okay. Stuff that I haven't read much about. The Rings of Gyges. Cool. So what she's saying is this group of Neoplatonists that created the strand of Platonic philosophy in the 3rd century AD travelled back in time. They travelled to Egypt under Pharaoh Ptolemy II in 150 BC. They travelled back to 150 BC into Egypt and created the Septuagint, the Greek Bible for the Greeks living in Egypt. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. She won't beat me. I'm getting sick of it, but can struggle on.
Origen, those gentlemen were Neoplatonists, Platonic.
So Clement, shit, man. Do Origen because he's your favourite. Origen was a heretic. Origen of... Actually, you got to say that though. Yeah, Origen. Origen. Okay. This dude that lived from 184 BC... fuck my brain. Dude, Origin of Alexandria from 184 AD to 235 AD. Travelled back in time to 150 BC to Egypt to create... Fuck, I can't do this. Manuscripts that would end up in the Septuagint, the Greek translation for the Jews living in Egypt. Okay. Just, oh my God, my brain. This guy, okay, so just take one lie at a time. This guy wrote manuscripts. This guy who collected manuscripts did not collect manuscripts and compile them. He actually wrote them. So that's like saying that I wrote The Lord of the Rings. If I write a book about my experiences with the book Lord of the Rings, that means I can claim that I wrote Lord of the Rings according to her logic. So this guy, Origen and Clement, didn't compile manuscripts, didn't gather them together from places. They somehow wrote them instead. I have to tell you, I could not write a magnum opus like The Lord of the Rings. I couldn't. Wow, Gail. Just wow.
School. Clement, Origen, those gentlemen were Neoplatonists. All right.
We don't know. Did they know? Hang on, 184 AD. And Neoplatonism came around 204. So 100 years after Origen was born, he became a Neoplatonist. Wouldn't he be dead? The fuck? He died in 253, right? Okay, so he died in 253. So 253, he was about halfway through this. So in his 50s, he suddenly became a Platonist, a Neo-Platonist. Even though there's no evidence of him writing books about the subject. My God. My God. I told you it was downhill from here. This is whack. This is just whack. Wow, Gail. You are the queen of lies.
Neoplatonist is that type of theology that seeks to...
It's not a theology. Oh my God. Against the background of Hellenistic philosophy and religion. If you hover your mouse over it, Gail, it says Hellenistic philosophy, a period of Western philosophy, Middle Eastern philosophy that was developed in the Hellenistic period following Aristotle and ending with the beginning of Neoplatonism. The religion of Hellenistic religion, a late form of ancient Greek religion covering any of various systems, blah, blah, blah. Got nothing to do with the theology of the Christian Greek Bible. Wow. Fuck.
to join or conjoin Christianity with Platonism. It's called...
So somehow these collector of manuscripts, Origen and Clement, travelled back in time, wrote manuscripts, but wrote them in a way where it merged Neoplatonism that didn't exist for another 100 years with the Septuagint Bible in Egypt under Ptolemy II. No wonder my brain's... My brain is... Fuck.
Neoplatonism. That's what these gentlemen hope to do, intellectualize the Christian faith.
So Origen and Clement, who were not Neoplatonists, travelled back in time to create manuscripts that were used for the Septuagint because they wanted to promote Neoplatonism to the Jewish Bible. Wow. Wow. Fuck. Okay, breathe.
But at Alexandria, Egypt, where they had a school, they created some manuscripts. Now
So the school of Neoplatonism, which existed 300 years after the Septuagint was written, had a school where they travelled back in time to create manuscripts. So this school in Alexandria had a time machine. So where is the evidence that they ever owned a time machine? Where's the blueprints for the time machine? You got anything by Da Vinci creating a time machine based on the one from Alexandria, Egypt? Fuck's sake. Oh my. Ah, I love this. It's just so stupid.
We have those manuscripts extant today. They're not really manuscripts, they're more or less fragments. We have those manuscripts.
They're papyrus. And P66 is the whole book of John. There's about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John on it. Whatever. Don't bring facts into this. Don't try and bring facts into this.
It's extant today in what are called P66,
That's the book of John.
P75,
P75 is Mark.
and probably 92 other papyri.
Probably because she hasn't opened the first page of our Greek New Testament, which has them all numbered and tells you where they were found. So you guessing that there's not somewhere around 90 something, even though there's a catalogue and they're all numbered and named. Oh, you don't have access to materials in the Greek. Of course. Why use facts? Why are you using facts? Sorry. Back to Fantasy World.
Okay. Now, those papyri were discovered in a city that's probably within 80 miles of Alexandria, Egypt.
The real manuscripts. I'm getting lost here. Okay, so the real manuscripts, P66, P46, P75, that were written by who knows who. This doesn't make sense. She's still 100 years out. So they were written 8 miles from the school, but 100 years back in time. It's time machines again. It's time machines. The school had a time machine. Wow.
And so that critical text, or those gentlemen took the Greek text that was created by the apostles, and
the Greek texts weren't created by the apostles. The Aramaic text would have been. They didn't speak Greek. They spoke Aramaic. Breathe. I can get through this. I will get through this.
when it went down to Alexandria, Egypt, which is sort of the crossroads of every religion and every cultural kind of thing that's happening in the world, when it went down to Alexandria, Egypt, they took that text and
Breathe.
and they tried to make it match.
So they'd taken texts that existed 150 years before they found them. No, because they weren't found in 1952. I'm trying to figure out what could be the imaginary answer. She's saying that they found these manuscripts that were buried up until 1952, and they doctored them and manipulated them to add Neoplatonic language to these manuscripts, which were based on what the apostles would have written in Aramaic. They took, say, if there's a first edition copy of Paul, just throwing it out there, let's say Paul wrote something in Aramaic, and like 1 Timothy, 1 Thessalonians, whatever. So she's saying that, 300 years in the future, Paul, so 200 years in the future after Paul wrote, say, 1 Thessalonians, they took that and created Neoplatonic manuscripts. You're going to hurt your brain. Don't do this. Don't do this. Okay, move on.
Alexandrian philosophy. They tried to make it.
They used their Neoplatonic Alexandrian philosophy to manipulate manuscripts and then stick the manuscripts in a time machine and sent them back to Egypt 200 BC. James Randi, I need your help. We've got time travel going on here. We've got someone that completed a degree from her bed without holding a pencil. This is some spiritual, ghostly stuff, man.
Match Neoplatonic philosophy. So, for instance, when the King James Bible said God, who created all things by Jesus Christ, okay? Now, a Christian would believe God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. But the new versions just say God, who created all things.
Now she's back on her normal gabble. Okay, it's got back to normality. This argument about... We'll finish off with this because it's just stupid. It just really is stupid. She's gotten some sort of bizarre time travel, shape-shifting, lizard creature conspiracy theory about manuscripts and people flicking about and backwards and forwards in time. Now I'm aware that Hermione was given the time, I've forgotten the name for it. I've ordered one from Wish. It's still in the mail somewhere. Anyway, so I've got one of those, so I could do a bit of time travel. I'm aware that Hermione could do this, but did Hermione, or the actress who played Hermione, travel back in time and give that to Origen and Clement, or Constantine, who wrote the Bible? all right, this is just ridiculous. Let's finish it with this craziness.
Okay, now a Christian would believe God, who created all things by Jesus Christ, but the new versions just say God, who created all things.
Okay, so the new versions are written from the early manuscripts that she just nattered on about: P66, P46, P75, Codex Alexandrinus, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Sinaiticus. So therefore, the King James Version, based on Erasmus's Greek New Testament, 6 manuscripts. I'm trying to get my head around this. One more time.
God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. But the new versions just say God, who created all things.
So because the new versions are translated from older manuscripts in the 1611 King James, which was translated from Erasmus's Greek New Testament from 1512, therefore, now they're removed through Christ from the newer versions because those words don't exist in those older Bibles, but we don't want facts, so we have to say, again, thinking this through, without Christ, I can do all things through Christ. Through Christ was removed in the modern Bibles. You can do this. One last one. So the King James added 64,000 words that the early manuscripts don't have. It was bloated. But the truth can't be the answer. So time travel, let's do time travel. I can't do this. What possible reason could there be for the fact that modern Bibles are translated from older manuscripts in the 1611 King James Version, leaving out 64,000 words, causing words... I can't do this. I'm sorry, I'm going to leave it there. She got me. She broke me. There's just no human explanation how 64,000 words can be stored in a time machine. And then I went and forgot all about it. It could have been Doc in the DeLorean. It could have been Doctor Who in the TARDIS. There's lots of time travel devices, so this is possible. This is somehow possible if you use time machines. But I can't answer this final question. I'm just going to leave it up in the air because I haven't found the blueprints for the time machine that did all this. Bye.